GMWB and GMLB are really very similar benefits other than one key difference. GMWB is really like a term certain annuity, so there is an end date, whereas GMLB is more like a life annuity, so there is no end date. We're going to go through three things in this first slide, the three things that are really important to remember about these two products. Other than that, one major difference, the rest of the product is really very similar. So they are based on that initial deposit or initial deposits into the segregated fund. And they also both have two phases. So they have a savings phase and a payout phase. The savings phase is, of course, when the client is depositing money and saving money, and the payout phase is when they start actually receiving an income from the product. We're going to start off talking about the savings phase. The savings phase is a period of accumulation. So your client is putting in their money, investing, and it ideally saves and it grows over time. These deposits can be made over any period, so they can make their deposits quarterly, annually, semi-annually, monthly. It's really dependent on the client. Now remember, this is an investment, so your client is looking for a potential increase from that investment. And because it is an investment, it is possible there's also a decrease from their investment. And as they're putting money into their segregated fund, they are earning credit. And the amount of credit that they earn is dependent on how much money they deposit, as well as the number of years that it's been deposited for. So of course, as always, the longer that it's in, the more opportunity it has to grow. And of course, the higher deposit, the more credit. For the purpose of this presentation, we're going to say that your client gets a 5% guarantee on each deposit. And they have the ability to reset every 3 years. Now, typically the reset is around 3 years, and the point of this is to increase the payout. So if the investment has increased, that is when you would do a reset, and this is really where your advice as an advisor would come into play. Now, your client can make withdrawals during the savings phase, but it is not a good idea. Withdrawals will reduce the guarantee of done before maturity and therefore negatively affect the payout. Next, we're going to chat about the payout phase. Now, the payout phase, you receive, or your client receives, an annual income. And this annual income doesn't have to be received annually. It can be received monthly, quarterly, semi-annually. It's up to the client, but it is based on that annual amount. That's how the calculation is made. And this is where that 5% that we talked about earlier comes into play. So they get 5% annually, based on whatever their minimum guarantee is. And that income guarantee is not affected by that withdrawal during this payout phase. It's important to leave it in until maturity, but once you start receiving that income guarantee, it doesn't affect your guarantee. Now, you can make some additional withdrawals during this phase, but when you make additional withdrawals, just like you do when you make withdrawals during the savings phase, they can possibly reduce your future income. And during the payout phase, they actually are also subject to fees. So it depends on the contract, but there might also be fees for these additional withdrawals. And how does payout occur? So payouts can happen, they start at a set time and they go for a set time. So they're for a set period. So let's say your client decides that their payout is starting in 10 years and they've decided to do a 20-year payout. They do have the option to also, of course, do a lifetime payout. The longer the payout, the lower the income that is available to the client. So, for example, if they decide to start in 10 years and they do a 20-year payout, the income that they receive will be higher than if they were to do a lifetime payout. The next, we're going to talk about some extras that are important to remember. So these benefits are professionally managed. This means as the advisor, you only help your client manage resets, deposits, and withdrawals. Everything else is professionally managed. This product is also insulated from market risk. The insurance product guarantees that no matter what happens in the market, you will get that 5% in this example. And the next couple of things in green are really for you to remember as the advisor to manage. So diversification. You want to reduce your risk by spreading out the investment. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. This is an insurance product, so your client has the opportunity to make sure that their money is exempt from probate, as well as has that creditor protection. Now, in order for that to be in place, there does need to be a named beneficiary. A named beneficiary can be a spouse, a parent, a child, or a grandchild. And if they do name their estate, these benefits do not come into play. So it's really important that they have a named beneficiary. With a named beneficiary, there are no fees, and there is an automatic rollover from to the surviving spouse or to the named beneficiary. Now, you do get some assurance protection, this being an insurance product, and that is an 85% benefit. So what does this mean? If your client invests $100K with a 75% guarantee, 85% of that 75% is guaranteed, which means your client would get $63,750 of protection. So that's how much money they would get if the insurer becomes insolvent. So remember, this is not for a market crash. Last but not least, we're going to talk about the right of rescission. The right of rescission is about this being an insurance product. So remember, with life insurance, the right of rescission is 10 days. With this product, with these benefits, the right of rescission is 2 days. So if you would like all your money back, you change your mind, you will get that money back or the value of your contract, and no fees will be charged during that 2-day period.